What's up, everybody? We're S.A.D After Dark out of Brooklyn, New York. I'm Dan Berg.
I'm C for Graffiti.
Thanks so much for joining the Patreon. We recently broke 100 patrons, which is a really big deal for us. We really appreciate all the support. So we wanted to give something back and hold a Q&A session with all of our patrons. Basically, we said a few weeks ago, if you have any questions for us, let us know. We'll make a video answering all the questions. And that is what we're going to do now. So thanks for watching, and let's get into it. The first question comes from our patron, Adam Ronitsky. He says, do you think your subscribers and patrons have an open mind to new music in the way that they expect you to have? It's a good question. What do you think?
Sometimes, because we can kind of tell from the numbers, like the views on our videos. So if we'll pick, like, let's say we'll pick a Frank Zappa, you know, we'll get like thousands of views on that. But if we pick a smaller artist, we'll just get like a couple of hundred views. So, you know, we feel like a smaller percentage of our subscribers like are completely open to a lot of new music where we're concerned. They can definitely be open to a lot of new music elsewhere, but where we're concerned, sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah, my thinking of this has evolved throughout the time of the channel, because we used to do the album polls and people would get so mad like if their album didn't win. Like I remember one, it was like Frank Zappa versus Supertramp, and Supertramp won, and people were just like, this isn't even the same caliber of music, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, we're not saying that it is, you know, it's just two different things. So I wasn't really sure at first, but then when we dropped the music video for our song East Side Edibles, which is basically a rap song, the reaction was a little better than I thought it would be, honestly, because nobody really suggests rap songs to us ever. So I was kind of like, I don't know if like our people that listen to our reactions are really gonna like this song that we made necessarily.
Yeah.
But the reaction to it was really good. So I think that a lot of people are pretty open. But you know, everybody's different, and you know, as time goes on, we get so many different reactions and suggestions from our patrons. It kind of opens up our minds a little bit more, and all we can really hope is that, you know, if somebody is a little closed off, that, you know, we could help them to open up their mind a little bit more. So that's a very good question. Thanks for bringing that up. Next, we have our old friend Garth Hill. He said, if you had all the time in the world and were going to learn a new instrument, in what direction would you like to branch out, and why?
Wind. You mean type of music or type of instrument?
I think new instrument. If you're going to learn a new instrument, yeah.
It'll definitely be a wind instrument. I would need to know, because I'm so jealous of, I was watching country music television just the other day. I'm so jealous, and this guy, I think it's Steve Earle, maybe, he had his guitar and he just slung his harmonica on and he was just playing and blowing. That, and people with the saxophone and the horns. It's like, I'm already a singer, so I feel like I've got the good diaphragm strength, so I would want to go in that direction.
Yeah. It's funny because I've tried to go in this direction a few times. I don't know how many times in my life I was like, ooh, I'm going to learn keyboards. I'm going to do it now. I know I said it before, but this is really the time. It's happened a lot. So I would love to actually be able to play keyboards like as well as I can play guitar one day. I feel like if I could play guitar and keyboards, it's like I can cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess for me it would be to like actually know how to play keyboards versus just like, I'm just gonna play a bunch of notes that sound good, yeah. Which is where I'm at now. Next we have our patron Roberto Carranza. Who are the major bands that we shouldn't request because you already know them very well? For example, Zeppelin, Stones, Beatles, etc. That's fair.
I would definitely say no Zeppelin, because I know them through and through. There may be some things that you could probably dig deep into crates and give to me, but I would say no Zeppelin. I listen to them so much. And who else for no? You can definitely always, the Stones are a huge band, but you can give me the Stones because they've always got some kind of a groove to it, so I'm always willing to dance. Yeah. So.
I'm open to all of them, especially like live versions a lot, because like even like, you know, we've done songs that we've known before, but just sitting and doing the reaction and like really like analyzing it, you know, you hear things that you might not even have heard before, even if you've heard the song thousands of times.
Yeah.
So I'm always down to like revisit things, and especially like with live versions, it's a whole new thing. Like remember, one of our favorites that we've ever done was, it ended up only being on the Patreon because it got blocked, but the Dire Straits reaction to Sultans of Swing.
That was amazing.
That was one of my favorite that we've ever done, and clearly we've known that song.
Yeah,
so for me, I wouldn't say anything's off limits. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like with like a group like Zeppelin, it's just like they had such a small amount of time to be together, and it's just like a lot of their live footage like got shown a lot. But like for a group that like spans like decades and decades, like the Stones, you know what I'm saying? Like or the
there's
Beatles,
just so much.
There's so much. You can always find something. You know, they're probably in Managua performing. I don't know, Brown Sugar.
That's true. All right, our patron Ben Guevara says, besides Zappa, the legend, who is your favorite artist that you were introduced to via reacting? It's a good one.
Huh. Totally introduced to artists. Well, I mean, okay, so it's a tie, and it's literally a tie between Supertramp and Rufus Wainwright.
Rufus,
yeah. Really?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna...
I wasn't gonna say anything else.
Oh yeah. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Yeah, for me, Rufus for sure. I had never heard him before, and he's an amazing talent. He really is. Definitely Rufus Wainwright, and then, I mean, this is kind of a stretch. Like, I knew of Chicago before, but like I said, in 624, that was like the only song I really knew that was Chicago. Like, I knew they were a big band, but I really didn't know much of their stuff. So, for all intents and purposes, I'm really like discovering Chicago through the channel, and there's a lot of good Chicago that I really like. So I would say Rufus and Chicago, even though technically I already knew who Chicago was. So there it is. Patron Ashley Drake wants to know, do you always go back to a song outside the channel to give it another shot, whether you liked it or not?
Not always. Well, it's interesting. I definitely rewatch the videos when they go up for the views. Like, I want to add to our viewership, so I like by default end
plus one view.
I by default end up listening to the song again. There haven't been too many. Like, I've put them on a list, and I've been meaning to go back to them. There's a good amount. You guys just mentioned I forgot Alan Holdsworth. Like, I want to go back to him. I want to check out some more Rufus. There are a couple of artists that I do want to, but the only one who I've revisited is like Frank. Like,
yeah, for me it's like, how do I want to say this? The ones that I don't like originally, I don't really end up going back too much, just because the ones that I do like, I usually put on a playlist, so I end up hearing them again.
Okay.
But but if it doesn't hit me too hard originally, I'm just like, I don't have time to be going back through all of them. We do so many videos. It's like, I can't really do it for every single one of them. There are a few like Close to the Edge by Yes. People were really mad at me that I didn't like it at first, so I'm like, I'm definitely going to listen to this again at some point. There are a few where I'm just like, maybe I just wasn't in the mind state at the time to really appreciate it, that I will go back and listen to, but definitely not every single one. I mean, it takes enough time to do all this as it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It takes a lot of time. And sometimes I wish our videos were longer, because sometimes it takes time to let something sink in. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, we could literally stop recording and I'm like, oh shoot, I meant to say this. I meant to say I like this and that.
Yeah.
But it's just like...
That's why I like doing the album wrap-ups.
Yeah.
But it would be impossible to do that for every song, too. Like, you do a reaction and then, like, a post-reaction. Like, that's just... It's a headache.
Yeah.
There's no way. But that was a good question, so appreciate that, Ashley. Rolf Weber wants to know, what genres/decades do you wish got more representation on the channel?
Shoot. Yeah, I don't know. There were so many decades. The 20s. No, I'm just kidding. Richie, one of our patrons, Richie, mentioned doo-wop, and I wouldn't mind if you guys brought some of those songs from that genre that we don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to hear, like, songs that we obviously
the deep
know.
cuts.
Yeah, like the deeper ones. But I don't know.
We should just
decades.
name our channel Deep Cut Reactions, because that's what we do here. We do the deep cuts.
Because you guys give us the 80s. Like, you gave us the 70s, you gave us the 60s. We've had some 90s with, like, Chris and, like, some other people and stuff. I mean, they've given us that. Give us something from the 40s.
I mean, yeah, I would say pretty much majority of what we get is between 60s and 80s.
Yes.
So I would say anything on either side. Like,
On
I would say
either
newer
side.
things or things even, you know, more back. I would listen to Miles Davis. I'd love to do some shit like that.
Yes, I would love to listen to some big band, some old jazz from the 30s and stuff like that. Like, why not? Some,
Yeah. Some crooners. Got some crooners in here.
Exactly.
I'd love to hear some rap suggestions as well. We don't really get many hip-hop suggestions.
No.
Which is obviously something I really love. But-
Yes.
So that would be cool. So if you guys have any of those, let us know. We'll probably make a post about that sometime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, another good question. Alan Flores wants to know, how often does a song make your playlist, and can you share them on Spotify? That's a I didn't even think about that really. How often does something make your playlist, you think?
Definitely weekly, right?
Usually once. I mean, lately
At
we've been
least.
doing 14 a week, so it's like there's a pretty good chance at least one of 14 will hit
At
us.
least once a week. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess probably at least once, you know, every couple of songs. It's funny, when you were sharing the can you share the playlist, it's actually a really good idea that I didn't think about. I don't know if we have a Side After Dark. Well, we do have a Side After Dark Spotify, obviously, because we have our music on Spotify. But I don't know how that works with like playlists.
I think you can make your own, because I know like the other studios that I work out of, they make playlists for the studio.
Right. That'd actually be a really cool thing to look into, because then we could throw in like our favorites from the reactions and also just other things that we think people would like, you know, in that we like.
Yeah.
So that's actually something definitely we would look into, sharing the playlist on Spotify. So we'll let you know any updates on that as, you know, as time goes on. Dan L says, Ben Guevara stole my question. Okay, so of the groups / artists you've discovered because of your channel, which ones do you think you'll be listening to 10 years from now? And just for the record, Ben said that's a good companion question, so it's all love.
Oh man, I don't see why all of them can't be listened to 10 years from now. Like, mostly all of them. Well, definitely Frankie goes up there. Definitely Talking Heads goes up there. I don't think I'll be listening to that Elton John album 10 years from now. But I'll be listening to Elton John most likely, something that he's made.
But not that specifically.
Not that specific one. We're talking about albums or just artists?
I think artists, just artists that we learned about from the channel.
I want to go back into Rod Stewart's old band.
Them?
Yeah. I love the 70s. I want to look at Robbie Robertson play more, because I like how he plays. Like, I like how he walks with his guitar. Like, it's just something very interesting about him.
Yeah. He's got an aura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people. I feel like I'm on the spot here, but I'm happy that you guys suggested so much Stevie Wonder, because I viewed a lot of Stevie Wonder songs as so sad in a way, you know, and I think I said that like when we first started. I was never able to delve too much into Stevie's songs that were so thought-provoking, because the melodies of them made me feel sad as a child. But now that I'm an adult, like, I've been able to go into them and like actually appreciate them more and like them more. So thank you guys for that.
Yeah, definitely Stevie. I mean, I knew Stevie before. I mean, everyone knows who Stevie is, but I mean, how many albums? We did like 4 of his albums. I'd never heard that much Stevie before, and I definitely understood just from the channel that he's one of the greatest music genius of all time.
Yes.
And speaking of geniuses, obviously Frank Zappa.
Yes.
Who I've said also on the channel, I knew him before, but I never heard anything of him before the channel. So 100% Zappa, probably Rufus, Wainwright. I was already listening to like the Police and stuff, so I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah.
I don't know, all of the really good ones. I mean, it's just like it's hard to even remember all the ones that we do sometimes. We just do so many videos.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a few. Chicago, there's definitely a few that are, especially specific tracks that like have definitely like entered my brain.
Yeah, I don't know how in the hell we're forgetting Steely Dan right now. I don't know.
Oh my god, because they're the OGs of the channel.
We cut our teeth on Steely Dan.
Yeah, oh, of course Steely Dan. Wow, I actually feel dumb for not saying that.
I do.
Yeah, no, shout out to Steely Dan for sure. I listen to Steely Dan all the time now. Yeah, so all of the above.
Yeah.
Nancy Reed wants to know, how hard is it for you to not go and listen to every Zappa album outside the channel? It's a fair question.
It is.
I mean, I don't think it's that hard just because there's so many.
Yeah.
Like, I will say that specifically there's a few, like the album, I don't even know all the names of them. Like the one where I keep saying that the front out, it looks like a Salvador Dali painting.
Yes.
Like that's come up a few times, and I'm like, oh, I just want to listen to the whole thing. And Frank's, not Frank's Garage, Joe's Garage, because that's come up a few times, but I'm just scared that it's going to end up winning an album poll, and then I'll have already known it, and then the reactions won't be as good if it wins. So it's like, I want to, but I'm kind of like scared to do it.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. It's kind of like I believe you can call it Catch-22, because it's like, you can actually listen to a lot of Zappa, right, after experiencing some that you guys show us, but then it could still be a new experience listening to it again, like if it was suggested by a patron. But still, I'm still kind of scared to do that. Like, I don't want to... I kind of like listening to Zappa with a blank slate. Like,
yeah.
You know. So, but it's
a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
All right. Our patron, Wayne Cox, he wants to know... Have you ever seen Martha Wainwright perform? That's Rufus's sister. She's a Brooklyn fixture.
Really? No.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen or heard Martha, but Wayne was nice enough to give us a link, so we'll definitely check that out.
Thanks.
I mean, if she's anything like her brother, then she's probably great.
Exactly.
I mean, and I know their dad was a musician too, so it's like
Yes.
it's obviously like a strong musical family.
That's
so
right.
No, we'll definitely check out Martha sometime. Our patron Dave, he wants to know, how has reacting affected your work with Sight After Dark?
We barely do our own music now. We have no time for it. Which is kind of true. But it's getting us more notoriety. We like, right? I don't know. Whatchamacallit? We're known.
In what aspects?
I don't know. We're known more in the YouTube streets. So.
Oh yeah.
But musically, we've been working on a couple new things. We haven't sat down to work on another whole huge project, but I guarantee that when we do sit down to work on it, our approach will be so much better. You know what I mean? On so many different scales, like technically and just like, the concept of it, how if you wanted to continue into the next song, like we have that option. Like we've got so many more things to play with because of all of these reaction videos.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of these artists have definitely opened, our minds to what, music is, to what a song is. You know what I mean? So just things like that. And I think we got a similar question to this in one of our other Q&As. And like there'll just be things like, I really like the way that like Donald Fagen, like the way that he phrases things, it like never lands on the beat the way you think it is. And like I really like that. And that's something that I want to like pick up and use in like my songwriting and stuff like that. I think I said in the Alan Holdsworth video that his guitar style was kind of inspiring to me for wanting to use some of the chords and things that he does and like some of his techniques. So there's definitely a lot of things that we picked up from our videos that will make it into our music eventually.
Yeah. When
we make enough money off Patreon to quit our day job, so we have enough time to do all this shit. So thanks for y'all for helping us to make that happen. All right, Steve Dotwood, he says, I'd like you both to bring along one photograph from when you were kids. Okay, not really a question, but check it out.
Same face.
Thanks, Steve. All right, so our last Q&A for this session is going to be from a patron that would rather remain anonymous. And she wants to know, what was your knowledge of Frank before reacting to him, and what has been the most surprising aspect of his music or personality since diving down the rabbit hole? Solid question.
Very solid question. My uncle was more into Frank Zappa. He was into a lot of kind of like abstract artists, so I would hear him mention him once in a while. And I remember when I was little, like I didn't even realize Frank had died that long ago. I don't know why, I just didn't realize, but I know it was a couple of years after his death that the whole censorship stuff was still being talked about, so I can remember that going on, like in you know what I mean, like when the news was on and stuff like that. I can remember that. And then right around that time, Dweezil got popular, and I forgot, Dweezil was somewhere, like I can remember, I don't know if it was MTV or on TV, but I can remember seeing his face. So I pretty much only knew about the culture of Frank Zappa, Like, I knew that his music was different. I knew he was not somebody that you put in a box. I knew that I liked his expression. Like, you know what I mean? There's some artists or some humans that you can just read them and you know, like, I'm going to like this guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I felt like that for him. But in terms of, like, music, like, oh, he sang this song? No, I never knew that.
Yeah, I had literally zero knowledge on Frank before the channel. I mean, I had heard of his name, and I knew the mustache. I don't know how, but I knew, I had just like seen his face before, I guess, but I didn't hear a single song until we did Andy on this channel. That was the first I ever heard a piece of Zappa music in my life, and he's just completely blown me away since we've gotten, you know, further into him. Just like the amount of music, just how prolific he was, and how he just didn't give a fuck. Like, one of our last ones, when he called out like specific people from the record label, like, by name, I was like, wow, this dude is crazy. Like, he really like stands up for what he believes in. And it's funny, you were talking about the censorship of like the records and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go on a small rant about this. I think it's so funny because, like, I don't know if this was the same for you, but if I was growing up and I saw an album that didn't have the explicit sticker, I was like, this shit is lame. Right?
Yeah, I was like that.
Yeah, so I'm just like, yo, like, they don't even have the fucking sticker. Like, this is some pussy-ass bullshit. Like, I need something real. So it's just so funny to me that, you know, Frank was, like, so against that. And I know that his logic probably wasn't like, oh, it's going to make people want to listen to this more. Because, like, what does he care? He's making his music. But I just think it's so funny that he was, like, a crusader against that. And then the way that it ended up, it's just like he was just completely right.
Yeah.
He's just completely right. I mean, it did not have any intended effect like how they thought it would be, and there was just no point, and it's stupid.
Yeah.
And he literally just sat in Congress, straight faced. It was just like, this is a bad idea. And I just love that he just stood by his ideals so strongly, and he was able to write such like satirical songs based on his worldview.
Yeah.
And he just never compromised for anybody.
Yeah.
And that's really the biggest takeaway that I have from Frank, I think. Just the uncompromisingness of it.
Yeah.
I think that was all of the questions. So sorry if there's any questions that we missed. Definitely let us know in the comments if we missed one. But yes, thank you so much. Again, this was our Q&A for getting to 100 patrons. We'll definitely do another one. We get to like 150 or 200, something like that. So tell your friends about us. Definitely spread the word. We really appreciate it. Like we said, I mean, y'all are the only reason that we're able to do this. Like, your support is helping to make all these videos. You're basically producing our content with your monthly subscription to Patreon. So it just means so much. So thanks again for being here. We're S.A.D After Dark, and we'll see you soon.